From homeless to wealthy. After just one powerful declaration, Florence Scovel Shinn. There exists within every soul a divine blueprint for abundance that knows neither lack nor limitation. As Florence Scovel Shinn revealed through her profound spiritual teachings, the very essence of your being is prosperity itself, waiting only for your recognition and declaration to manifest in your outer world. The homeless state, whether financial, emotional, or spiritual, is never your true condition, but merely a temporary veil that obscures the magnificent truth of who you really are. When we speak of homelessness, we are not merely addressing the absence of physical shelter, but the deeper spiritual condition of feeling separated from your divine inheritance. Every person walking this earth carries within their consciousness the seed of infinite abundance, yet most live as beggars when they are royalty in the kingdom of consciousness. The transformation from poverty to prosperity is not about acquiring something external, but about remembering and reclaiming what has always been yours by divine right. Consider the magnificent truth that Florence Scovel Shinn proclaimed. Every man has within him the Christ mind, which is his perfect self. This Christ mind knows only abundance, only fulfillment, only the endless circulation of good. When you align your thoughts, words, and beliefs with this divine nature, miracles become natural expressions of your true being. The homeless person who declares their divine prosperity is not speaking from delusion, but from the deepest spiritual truth. The power of declaration lies not in wishful thinking, but in the recognition of spiritual law. Just as the acorn contains within it the mighty oak, your current circumstances, no matter how challenging, contain within them the seeds of transformation. When you declare, "I am divinely prosperous," you are not trying to convince the universe of something false, but awakening to something eternally true. The universe responds not to your need, but to your faith, not to your circumstances, but to your consciousness. Your words carry the creative power of the universe itself. Florence taught us that the game of life is a game of boomerangs, meaning that what you send out in thought and word returns to you multiplied. When you speak from the consciousness of lack, declaring yourself homeless, poor, or abandoned, you are unconsciously using the law to create more of the same. But when you flip the script and declare your divine abundance, you activate the same law in your favor. This is not about denying your current reality, but transcending it through spiritual recognition. The homeless person who looks at their situation and says, "This is temporary, for I am a child of the Most High, and abundance is my birthright," has taken the first crucial step toward transformation. They have moved from victim consciousness to creator consciousness, from fear-based thinking to faith-based declaration. The moment you understand that your outer world is simply the projection of your inner beliefs, you realize that homelessness is not a fixed condition, but a changeable state of consciousness. Every millionaire, every successful person, every individual who has risen from poverty to prosperity has made this fundamental shift from believing in limitation to knowing their divine nature as abundance itself. The bridge between poverty and prosperity is built with the sacred materials of your spoken word. Florence Scovel Shinn understood that words are not mere sounds, but living forces that shape reality itself. When you speak, you are wielding the same creative power that spoke the universe into existence. The declaration that transforms homelessness into wealth is not magic, but metaphysics, not wishful thinking, but spiritual science. Your subconscious mind is like a faithful servant that never questions, but only obeys. It takes every word you speak about yourself as a direct command and sets about making it true in your experience. When the homeless person repeatedly says, "I can't afford this," or "I'm broke," or "I'll never get ahead," they are programming their subconscious to maintain and perpetuate that reality. But the moment they begin to declare, "I am richly blessed, money flows to me easily, I am divinely supplied," they begin reprogramming their entire reality. The power of a single declaration lies in its ability to shift your entire vibrational frequency. Florence taught that thoughts are things, and that every thought carries a specific vibration that attracts like vibrations. Poverty consciousness vibrates at the frequency of lack, fear, and scarcity. Prosperity consciousness vibrates at the frequency of abundance, gratitude, and expectation of good. When you make a powerful declaration of your divine wealth, you instantaneously shift from the poverty frequency to the prosperity frequency. But here is the key that most miss. The declaration must come from conviction, not desperation. When you declare your prosperity from a place of knowing rather than hoping, you tap into the infinite supply that has always been available to you. The universe responds to the authority in your voice, the certainty in your tone, the unwavering faith in your words. This is why a single powerful declaration can transform everything, while years of wishful thinking produce nothing. The homeless person who stands in their truth and declares with absolute conviction, "I am now manifesting my divine prosperity in miraculous ways," has just aligned themselves with the creative force of the universe. They have stepped out of victim consciousness and into creator consciousness. They have moved from the energy of lack to the energy of expectation. They have shifted from asking for crumbs to claiming their kingdom. Your declaration becomes powerful when it is backed by the understanding that you are not asking for something you don't have, but claiming something you've always possessed. Prosperity is not a gift to be given, but a gift to be received. It is not a prize to be won, but a birthright to be claimed. When your words carry this understanding, they carry the power to reshape your entire world. The science behind this transformation is simple yet profound. Every cell in your body, every atom in your being responds to the vibration of your words. When you consistently declare prosperity, your entire being begins to reorganize itself around this new reality. Your thoughts become prosperous thoughts, your actions become prosperous actions, and your very presence begins to attract prosperity like a magnet. Florence Scovel Shinn witnessed countless individuals transform their lives through the power of right speaking. She saw the homeless become housed, the poor become rich, the sick become healthy, all through the consistent application of spiritual law through spoken word. This is not theory but proven spiritual science that works as surely as any physical law. The greatest poverty that humanity faces is not the lack of money, but the illusion of separation from the infinite supply of the universe. Florence Scovel Shinn revealed that every person is connected to an endless source of good that never diminishes, never runs dry, and never plays favorites. The homeless person and the millionaire both have access to the same infinite supply. The only difference is their level of spiritual recognition and acceptance of this truth. Separation is the fundamental lie that keeps prosperity at arm's length. When you believe that your good must come from a specific job, a particular person, or through certain circumstances, you have just limited the infinite to the finite and trapped yourself in the consciousness of lack. The universe has millions of channels through which your abundance can flow, but it can only use the channels that you keep open through faith and expectation. The person experiencing homelessness often falls into the trap of looking at their circumstances and concluding that prosperity is impossible for them. They see the empty bank account, the rejection letters, the closed doors, and they interpret these appearances as evidence of their separation from abundance. But Florence taught us that every seeming hindrance is but the way out, and that appearances are often the last gasp of the old conditions before breakthrough occurs. When you understand that you are not separate from supply, but that you are supply and expression, everything changes. You are not trying to get prosperity from somewhere else. You are allowing prosperity to express through you from the infinite source within. The homeless person who realizes this truth stops seeing themselves as cut off from abundance and starts seeing themselves as abundance, temporarily experiencing the illusion of lack. Your divine nature knows no homelessness, because spirit has no address other than everywhere. Your true self knows no poverty, because consciousness itself is the source of all wealth. When you shift your identity from the person experiencing lack to the divine being expressing abundance, you automatically begin to attract the conditions that match this higher recognition. The powerful declaration that transforms homelessness into wealth works because it shatters the illusion of separation. When you declare, "I am one with infinite supply and all my needs are divinely met," you are not making a request, but stating a spiritual fact. You are not hoping for connection, but acknowledging the connection that has never been broken. This recognition requires what Florence called the pinch of faith. Even if you cannot see how prosperity will manifest, even if the circumstances seem impossible, you must maintain the inner knowing that you are forever connected to unlimited good. The homeless person who can maintain this consciousness while sleeping in a shelter is demonstrating mastery that will soon transform their outer conditions. The key is to stop looking to the world for your supply and start looking to the source of all supply. Stop trying to figure out how prosperity will come and start knowing that it must come because it is your nature to be prosperous. Stop asking why you don't have abundance and start declaring that abundance already has you. Every great transformation begins with the recognition that what you seek is not separate from you, but is the very essence of who you are. The homeless person who awakens to their true identity as divine abundance will find ways and means appearing that they could never have imagined. Doors will open that seemed permanently closed. People will appear with opportunities that seemed too good to be true. Money will flow from sources that defied all logic. This is not magic, but the natural result of aligning with spiritual law. When you know yourself as one with the source of all good, the entire universe must rearrange itself to support that recognition. Every state of being carries its own distinct vibration, and wealth consciousness vibrates at a frequency that naturally attracts prosperity, opportunities, and abundance in all forms. Florence Scovel Shinn understood that transformation from homelessness to wealth is fundamentally a vibrational shift from the energy of lack to the energy of abundance. This shift happens not through changing your circumstances, but through changing the consciousness that created those circumstances. Wealth consciousness is not about having money, but about being prosperity. It is a way of thinking, feeling, and moving through the world that assumes abundance, expects good, and recognizes value everywhere. The homeless person who cultivates wealth consciousness while still sleeping in their car is already wealthy in the most important sense, and their outer conditions must soon catch up to match their inner reality. The vibration of wealth consciousness includes gratitude for what is, expectation for what is coming, and the generous spirit that shares even when it appears there is little to share. It carries the energy of more than enough, rather than just barely enough. It sees opportunities where others see obstacles and possibilities where others see problems. This consciousness attracts wealth because like attracts like in the vibrational universe. When you embody wealth consciousness, you naturally begin to make decisions from abundance rather than scarcity. You invest in yourself even when resources seem limited because you know that investment in your growth always returns multiplied. You speak words of prosperity even when the bank account is empty, because you understand that your words are creating your future reality. You act with the confidence of someone who knows their prosperity is assured because you recognize prosperity as your birthright. The powerful declaration that can transform homelessness into wealth carries within it the complete vibration of wealth consciousness. When you declare with feeling, "I am now manifesting abundant wealth and all forms of prosperity flow to me with divine ease," you are not just saying words, but embodying the energy of abundance. Your entire being shifts to match the vibration of what you are declaring. But here is where most people miss the mark. They try to feel wealthy while still thinking poor thoughts, or they make prosperity declarations while harboring deep beliefs about their unworthiness. True wealth consciousness must be cultivated at every level. Thought, feeling, word, and action must all align with the vibration of abundance. This alignment creates an irresistible attractive force that draws prosperity like metal to a magnet. The homeless person who can maintain wealth consciousness regardless of their temporary circumstances is demonstrating spiritual mastery of the highest order. They understand that their current situation is not their permanent condition, but simply the old reflection of past consciousness. They know that as they hold steady in wealth consciousness, new conditions must manifest that match their elevated state of being. Florence taught that the imaging faculty is the creative faculty, and wealth consciousness naturally images abundance. Instead of mentally rehearsing poverty by constantly thinking about lack, bills, and limitations, wealth consciousness sees prosperity, flow, and infinite supply. It imagines success, visualizes abundance, and mentally rehearses wealth until these become more real than any temporary outer condition. This vibrational shift often happens suddenly through a powerful declaration because the declaration acts as a tuning fork that instantly adjusts your frequency to match wealth consciousness. The moment you truly embody the vibration of prosperity, the universe begins rearranging circumstances to support this new frequency. Money starts flowing, opportunities appear, and what seemed impossible becomes inevitable. When you align with your divine nature and maintain wealth consciousness, the universe begins to orchestrate what Florence Scovel Shinn called divine right action, the miraculous coordination of events, people, and circumstances that brings about your highest good in ways that defy human logic. The transformation from homelessness to wealth often happens through a series of these divinely orchestrated events that seem too perfectly timed to be mere coincidence. Divine right action is the universe's way of responding to your faith and declaration with practical demonstration. It is the invisible hand that moves circumstances, touches hearts, opens doors, and creates opportunities that perfectly match your consciousness and need. When you make a powerful declaration of prosperity from a place of unwavering faith, you set divine right action into motion on your behalf. The homeless person who declares their divine wealth with absolute conviction has just released a spiritual force that begins working in the invisible realm before manifesting in the visible world. Phone calls are made, decisions are changed, meetings are arranged, and opportunities are created, all orchestrated by the same intelligence that coordinates the planets and seasons. What appears as luck or coincidence is actually divine law in action. But divine right action requires your cooperation through what Florence called intuitive leading. You must be sensitive to the inner nudges, sudden inspirations, and unexpected impulses that guide you toward your demonstration. The homeless person might suddenly feel prompted to visit a particular place, call a certain person, or take an action that seems unrelated to their need. But these promptings are actually the breadcrumbs leading to their miracle. The key is to act on your inspiration without delay and without demanding to understand the full plan. Divine intelligence sees the complete picture while you see only the next step. When you follow the guidance faithfully, each step leads to the next until suddenly you find yourself in the exact right place at the exact right time for your breakthrough to occur. Many people block divine right action by trying to make things happen through human effort alone. They exhaust themselves pushing, striving, and forcing, never realizing that the universe is trying to deliver their good through grace rather than struggle. The person who declares their prosperity and then relaxes in faith, staying alert for divine guidance, often receives their demonstration faster and more elegantly than those who work frantically from fear. Divine right action also works through other people who become instruments of your blessing. Florence taught that man's extremity is God's opportunity, meaning that when human solutions seem exhausted, divine solutions appear through unexpected channels. The homeless person might encounter a stranger with a job opportunity, receive an unexpected call about housing, or discover resources they never knew existed. The miracle of divine right action is that it not only solves your immediate problem, but does so in a way that positions you for even greater good. The homeless person who is divinely guided to wealth doesn't just get money, but is often placed in circumstances that allow them to help others, develop their talents, or fulfill their life purpose in ways that create lasting abundance. Your role is to make the declaration with conviction, maintain wealth consciousness regardless of appearances, follow divine guidance as it comes, and remain open to receiving your good in unexpected ways. When you do this, divine right action becomes the invisible force that moves heaven and earth to demonstrate your prosperity. This is why a single powerful declaration can change everything. It sets divine right action into motion with the full force of spiritual law behind it. The ultimate realization that transforms homelessness into permanent wealth is the recognition that you are already living in the kingdom of abundance. You simply need to open your eyes to see it and open your heart to receive it. Florence Scovel Shinn revealed that the kingdom of heaven is not a distant destination, but a present reality that exists in consciousness. When you shift from poverty consciousness to kingdom consciousness, you discover that abundance has always been your natural environment. Kingdom consciousness recognizes that there is no scarcity in the universe, only abundance everywhere, expressing in infinite forms. The air you breathe is abundant. The light that warms you is abundant. The life force flowing through you is abundant. When you truly see this abundance that surrounds you, you realize that poverty is not a reality, but a limitation in perception. The homeless person who awakens to kingdom consciousness discovers they have never actually been homeless because the entire universe is their home. This shift in consciousness from lack to abundance happens the moment you stop seeing yourself as separate from the source and start seeing yourself as the expression of the source. You are not a human being having a spiritual experience, but a spiritual being having a human experience. As a spiritual being, your nature is abundance, your inheritance is wealth, and your destiny is prosperity in all forms. The powerful declaration that transforms everything works because it awakens you to this kingdom consciousness. When you declare, "I am a beloved child of the universe, and all abundance flows to me now," you are not asking for something you don't have, but claiming something you've always possessed. You are not hoping for admission to the kingdom, but recognizing that you are already seated at the royal table. Living in kingdom consciousness means maintaining the awareness of abundance regardless of temporary appearances. The person who has mastered this consciousness can be temporarily without money and still feel wealthy, can be between homes and still feel secure, can face uncertainty and still feel provided for. This is because they know their true source is inexhaustible and their supply is guaranteed by the laws of the universe itself. From this consciousness, giving becomes natural and receiving becomes inevitable. Florence taught that the cheerful giver is the careful getter, meaning that when you share from the consciousness of abundance, you keep the flow of prosperity moving through your life. Even the homeless person who gives a smile, offers encouragement, or shares whatever they have is demonstrating kingdom consciousness and accelerating their own transformation. The kingdom of abundance is not just about material wealth, but about wealth in all its forms: health, happiness, love, peace, purpose, and fulfillment. When you align with your divine nature and live from kingdom consciousness, every area of your life begins to prosper simultaneously. You don't just become financially wealthy, you become wealthy in every sense of the word. This is the promise that Florence Scovel Shinn offered to every person willing to awaken to their true nature, that you can move from any condition of lack into the fullness of divine abundance through the power of right thinking, right speaking, and right believing. The homeless person who makes the powerful declaration with unwavering faith doesn't just get housed. They get homed in the infinite love and abundance of the universe itself. Your transformation is not dependent on changing your circumstances, but on changing your consciousness. Your prosperity is not dependent on what you do, but on who you know yourself to be. When you know yourself as the divine being that you are, living in the abundant universe that is your true environment, wealth becomes as natural as breathing and as inevitable as sunrise. The journey from homeless to wealthy is actually the journey from amnesia to remembrance, from separation to union, from limitation to liberation. Make the declaration now with the full force of your being. I am divinely wealthy, abundantly blessed, and perfectly provided for in all ways, and this is so now. And so it is.